guys, hello. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and if not, that's also fine. Like feeling the way you feel is always valid, and paying attention to the way you feel and allowing it to be there is, I think, a key skill to have in this life. So, what I want to talk about in this video today is something that I struggle with sometimes in especially romantic relationships, and it's a feeling of resentment. And resentment can be a very destructive, negative emotion because it causes you to feel like you were in the wrong, and you sometimes want to get back to the person who made you feel like that. And resentment basically is a feeling that occurs whenever you feel like you've been treated unjust, or when you had expectations that were not verbalized. So you expected someone to treat you a certain way, but they didn't do that. And silently, you grow a little bit resentful because you feel like you deserve them to treat you the way you want to be treated. And it's basically, ultimately, a state of resistance. Basically, you're resisting whatever that is, right? If somebody is not treating you the way you want them to treat you, and of course, it's not when they are abusing you, or when they're acting in a way that is absolutely unacceptable. It's not about that. It's more about you have certain expectations and people don't act according to those expectations. Then there is a state of resistance where you feel like it should be different, but it is not. And then you resist that state and you think that I should be treated rightly. And if I let go of this feeling, then I will never be treated the way I want people to treat me. If I let go of the resistance around this topic, if I let go of the resentment, then that would mean that I accept people not treating me the way I want to be treated. So I will never be treated the way I want to be treated. And this is a very dangerous thought to have, or a belief to have, because it's usually quite the opposite. If you release the tension surrounding the things you would like to happen, usually they most likely come to be rather quickly. So, in my own journey and my own quest for answers, of course, I hop on the internet and start to look for solutions to how to deal with resentment. And in this video, I want to share my experiences and the things that I learned and read and encountered, so that hopefully I can filter the information through my consciousness, through my flow of consciousness, if you will, and so you can digest it through my interpretation, right? So one of the very interesting concepts I came across was the concept of attunement, and then later on the Octopus Technique by Teal Swan. And I'm a big fan of Teal Swan. She is an amazing person. She has a very alternative look on personal development. She's a little bit wacky in a way, but her things are very, very profound, and I very much resonate with what she talks about. Of course, she has things that are less, well, that are maybe like questionable, but everybody does. So do I. So the things she shares around resentment is basically that you feel like you were in the wrong, and you resist that. You resist accepting that maybe it's also partly because of yourself, right? And sometimes there is even resentment against yourself that is stuck there, and you project it onto other people, right? So, for example, for myself, there is actually sometimes resentment towards myself for not meeting my own needs. When I feel like I have to do something and I really know intuitively that I should rest, or I should not do that thing, then I still do it because I feel afraid if I won't do it, then something bad will happen, right? So then I can kind of feel resentment towards myself for not being able to step up against that fear, for not being able to be courageous to fight off that urge, right? So because there is this resentment inside against myself, whenever somebody doesn't treat me the way I want to be treated, it can trigger this resentful response inside myself. And of course, I don't lash out or I don't act on this resentment, but it's still a nagging feeling inside you. It's not pleasant to deal with these feelings, with these thoughts. You know, you can feel it's not a good place to be in. So I want, of course, to solve these situations. And so another moment where it can occur is when something happens, when a person acts a certain way, and I feel hurt because of that, or I expected them to behave in a different way, and I allow it to happen, and I don't call it out immediately in that moment. For example, somebody does something, and I feel like they, I don't know, disrespect me, or they offend me, or they hurt me somehow, and I don't say it in that moment in a calm way, of course, like, hey, this is quite strange. Like I remember a time where I was in a cafe, in a bar, and I sit there to work, and I order like a drink, and I come there every day, right? And I bring friends, and they order food and things like that, and I just like to order a tea and just sit there, like I sit in the corner of the bar. I don't disturb anybody. I'm smiling, and at some point, a waiter, she comes to me, and she's like so aggressive, you know, she's super aggressive. She's like, 100 pesos minimum charge, and I'm like, huh, what do you mean? She's like, yes, for the time. And she's so disrespectful, and she says it in Spanish. I'm in Mexico right now, and my Spanish is not super good. So in a moment, I'm like startled. I'm like, what are you talking about? I can't really reply in this moment. You know, I can't really say what is going on because my Spanish is not that good, and she doesn't understand English. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I don't like this attitude, this approach. So I take my stuff and I go, right? But then afterwards, I can feel resentful because of the way she treated me, because I expect people to have a certain level of decency and respect towards other human beings. And I felt like that was violated. I felt like I was treated unjustly. So I can hold this resentment against this situation, against this person, maybe even, right? But of course, initially I can feel that. And of course, after thinking about it, yes, I understand maybe her boss is really pressuring her into making people buy more shit, and otherwise he will deduct her paycheck or whatever, and she feels super stressed or whatever, right? There's a million reasons. So after thinking about it, I can understand that, okay, there is probably a reason why she did that. But initially the resentment is there, right? And so I want to find tools to get rid of, well, to allow this resentment to be there, but to also for it to dissipate faster, you know? And so, of course, I go look on the web, and I come across Teal Swan, her content. And so two things that she talks about are attunement and then the Octopus Technique, which is more like a practical way to deal with these strong emotions. So first of all, attunement is basically cultivating an awareness of the things and the people around you, and the way your behavior has an impact on them. So the example she gives in her video is that she talks about a 2-year-old who is playing with a little kitten, and they don't really have an awareness of other living forms having an internal experience themselves, right? So the 2-year-old picks up the kitten by the neck, and it's very painful for this kitten, and the kitten is squirming, and it's squeaking, and maybe it even has no air, and eventually maybe the 2-year-old kills the kitten by doing that. And then it will be so confused about what happened. Oh, this kitten is not responding anymore. What happened? Because it doesn't really understand that this kitten is suffering from the way the little child picks up the kitten, right? And it's unaware that it's doing that. It's confused that the kitten dies. It doesn't understand why this happened, right? And this is because the child doesn't have the awareness of the experience or the perception of the kitten that it's holding, right? And this is the same with us. When we are older, we are sometimes not attuned to other people. So literally, we are not tuned in to their experience, because quite literally they have a different experience than we do, so we actually almost live in totally different worlds. So until you cultivate the awareness and the skill to tune in to other people's experience, you will suffer from miscommunications, misunderstandings, confusions, resentment, right? Because you were unable to attune to the other person's point of view, the other person's perspective. And in order to allow resentment to dissipate, to leave your system, is understanding the other person's perspective. So attunement is basically really starting to pay attention to the perceptual worlds of the people around you, because everybody lives in their own heads, so they only have their own perspective, their own thoughts, their own, sensory input, right? And being able to be aware of that is a crucial part of almost any interpersonal relationship, like everywhere, acquaintances, loved ones, family, whatever. Being able to understand their perspective, being able to step out of your own shoes and put yourself in their shoes, this is a crucial part of being able to communicate effectively. So attunement is basically just the concept of being aware of your surroundings and understanding that people have their own perceptions, and this can greatly influence their behavior. In fact, it is the number one factor that influences their behavior, because of course it's the reality they live in, right? So this is the first thing. And then the second thing is the octopus technique, and it's a little bit more of a practical way to get into attunement. And basically the way she describes it is that, imagine reality being this big octopus with lots of legs. And so you have the octopus head, which is source, and you are one of the legs of the octopus. So basically you're attached to source, and there's a leg going down, which is you, right? You're an individual. You consider yourself being an individual, separate entity from everything around you, right? But she argues that reality is just one big source, and everybody is connected to source. Some of them are further away from source, some of them are closer, but they're all in the end, they're all connected to the head, right? So she talks about, okay, imagine you being one of the legs, and imagine the other person being another leg, and imagine closing your eyes, and imagine you going up the leg, entering source, and going back down to the other person, and really leave behind everything you know about yourself, your own body, your own and identity, your own feelings, your own perspectives, your own points of view, your own sensations, everything. Leave it all behind and travel upwards to source, go back down, and then step into the shoes of the other person that you have these resentful feelings towards, and really try to imagine everything from their perspective, from their point of view. Really try to visualize their body, their sensations, the thoughts in their head, the way they walk, the way they talk, the thoughts they're having, the conversations they're having, the feelings they're experiencing in their bodies. And really try to put yourself in their shoes. And when you do this, you will notice that your understanding for the other person's behavior will almost immediately make total sense. Of course, how could it not? Because you're putting yourself in their shoes, and from their point of view, from their world, they act in the right way. They act in the best way they can in that particular instance, right? So sometimes you feel tired or you feel stressed out, and then you're less aware about your behaviors in general, right? Or you're just feeling shitty and resentful towards the world, and then you act in a disrespectful way, whatever it is, right? But there is always a reason why people act the way they do. There's always a reason. So if you can really allow yourself to take up their perspective, and it's hard to do that because we are so attached to our own perspective. We're so convinced that our world is the world and our thoughts are the thoughts and we are right and the other is wrong. But you have to understand that in the end, everything is connected, and their perspective is just a different perspective. It's not better or worse, it's just a different perspective. And there is this interesting image that I saw not too long ago, where there is this shape, it's a six drawn on the floor, but there's two people standing on opposite sides. And one person says it's a six, and the other person says it's a nine. And the other person, no, it's a six. Well, no, it's a nine. You can see, are you stupid? Right? That's how we usually go about things. But actually, in fact, both people are correct, because from their point of view, it's a six, and from the other person's point of view, it's a nine. And one or the other is not better. It's just different. So if you can really allow yourself to leave behind your own pride and your own ego and your own attachment to your own ideas, and you can step out of your own perception, your own, your own tunnel vision, and you can allow yourself to open up to their perspective, to their experience, then you will see that this feeling of resentment, it almost immediately disappears, because you can then feel compassion. You can then understand that, oh yes, I found myself in a position like that once or a few times, and I know what it feels like. And of course, if the circumstances are like this, I can totally see myself act in a way that is in line with how she treated me. And it's not because it's personal, and maybe it is, but then again, it's not personal, because maybe the person projects some qualities onto you, but it's an internal problem, right? Sometimes it can feel very personal when somebody, I don't know, doesn't seem to like you because you trigger certain negative reactions in him or her. I felt, for example, with her like that every time I entered the place. She is kind of rude to me, and when I brought a friend, she's nice to that friend. So maybe it's something in my appearance or in the way I carry myself or whatever it is that reminds her of her ex-boyfriend who she hates or whatever, right? So it can seem like it's personal, but it's actually not, because it's actually an internal problem in the other person. But if you can put yourself in their shoes, then the resentment goes away, because you can feel compassion towards the other person, and you can understand that, of course, the way they treated me is not because they want to hurt me, it's because they themselves are suffering. Because this is a very interesting thing to understand, a very important thing to understand, is that when a person is feeling good and peaceful and happy inside themselves, when they are feeling resourceful and motivated and happy to be alive, they usually don't act with negativity towards others. They usually don't lash out. They usually don't hurt the people around them, because they are so compassionate and peaceful and loving that why would they? There is no reason. Usually it's hurt that causes more hurt. So how do you stop that hurt? Well, it's by countering with love and compassion, and putting yourself in the other person's shoes allows you to really feel that compassion towards the other person. And this will dissolve your resentment almost magically in an instant. But it requires a willingness. So the Octopus Technique, when Teal Swan talks about it, it starts with, are you willing? It starts with the choice. You have to be willing to go into the other person's perspective in order for the technique to really work. And this is something that sometimes can be very, very difficult if you're stubborn and you're proud and your ego doesn't want you to, because you're in the right and the other person is in the wrong. Well, then you first need to focus on letting go of that resistance against taking their perspective. Because if there is no willingness, then it will not work. So you have to be willing to understand the other person's perspective in order for the resentment to dissipate. And so you will have to be willing to let go of the resentment too. So this is a key thing to understand. Sometimes this resentment, it can give you some kind of gratification, because your ego feels gratified with, I am right and that person is wrong, and I want to be stubborn about it, so I'm hurt and I'm going to be resentful, right? But you have to be willing to let go of that pride, and let go of the benefits this resentment gives you, because it's actually, if you really pay attention to it, resentment, it doesn't have that many benefits. It's it's painful, it's negative, you feel small, you feel not, you don't feel resourceful, it's a draining kind of like emotion, right? You don't feel big when you feel resentful, you feel small, you feel tiny, you actually feel very vulnerable when you feel resentful. So, and that's precisely why it can be such a sneaky emotion, because you feel small, resentful, vulnerable, and then when something happens, this resentment can like flare up, and you can want to like lash out and do something nasty, because you feel so small and so afraid, and you want to protect yourself, right? So understand this, and then realize that, okay, actually it would be so much better for me to let go of this resentment, because then I can allow myself to feel strong and big and loving and caring. So it starts with a choice and a willingness to take on the perspective of the other person. And once you get over the resistance of taking up that perspective, then you will really have to surrender your own perspective. You will quite literally have to die in a metaphoric sense. You have to really sacrifice and surrender your own perspective in order to fully take on the perspective of the other person. And this will then allow you to feel compassion and love and kindness, and you can forgive the person for not treating you the way you expected them to treat you, because yes, you are a decent human being who deserves respect and kindness and compassion and all that. And on the other hand, the other person deserves precisely the same. And if you are not even able to treat yourself with kindness, compassion, and respect all the time, well, who are you then to expect other people to do that all the time, right? So think about that. I say this also to myself, because it's true. If you don't treat yourself with kindness, respect, and compassion all the time, 24/7, every single day, then who are you to expect other people to do the same, right? Because they are living in their own worlds, they are living from their own perspectives, and they too have difficulties being kind and compassionate all the time, because they are hurt, they are scared, you are hurt, you are scared. So, instead of focusing on that and holding on to these negative tension inside yourself, surrender your own perspective, let it go. And it's hard. Well, it's hard and it's not hard. That's the paradox. It feels so difficult sometimes. Like you're so stuck to it. No, if I let it go, then something bad will happen. Well, no, and you just have to be brave. Watch my video on courage. Um, it will teach you a lot about courage and bravery. You just have to be brave and act despite feeling afraid. And if you are able to do that, then you can take on the perspective of the other person. You will see how they could act the way they did, that it's not personal, and you can forgive them. And you can forgive yourself for feeling resentful because of it, because that's also an added layer. You can then afterwards feel guilty because you felt resentful. That's not I believe not really good solution to the problem. You want to forgive them, but also forgive yourself for initially being unable to immediately take up their perspective. Sometimes you need some time to to be stuck in this resentful stage, to really then see the beauty of forgiveness, right? The contrast between having bad thoughts about this person and feeling like they are so wrong for treating the way they did, and then seeing things from their perspective and forgiving them, and then having this sense of relief that, oh wow, I'm so glad I could leave it behind. And this contrast is I think a very very powerful experience to have. So I hope this video can help you deal with resentment a little bit better, because for me it's sometimes a very challenging emotion, and I suffer from it. If I'm really honest, then the payoff is so much smaller than the gain of letting it go. So that's why I wanted to share my personal thoughts on this very sneaky, dangerous emotion, and I hope it was helpful. So if you feel like you want to share something about your own experiences, feel free to leave a comment down below. Have a look around in my channel. At my channel, there is tons of videos about topics like this. I feel incredibly inspired and excited to talk about these things because they just are everywhere all the time. Everybody suffers from them from time to time, and I hope I can help you like other people help me. So this is, I don't know, improving the overall trajectory of people's lives, and that is ultimately what I want to achieve. So thanks again for watching. Thank you for being brave. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in another video. Bye guys.